I'm Terry Bitchie from Ohio State University's Math Literacy Initiative. We're trying to provide services for area and out of area, because we're online, people who are working with kids either at home or even working with teachers. So if teachers want to use some of these lessons, we're trying to help with the situation now where some people are at home doing math and they've never done it before. Not that they haven't done math, but never taught it before. So teaching, as people are realizing, is not as simple as people think. So we can't just, it's not just about like telling something or giving something. It's really about play. We need our students to play with the math ideas. And in order to be able to play with the math ideas, you have to be comfortable with them first. So I know I get a lot of questions, why do we have to know the whys of mathematics? And it's because we no longer live in a society where just finding the answer is okay. Because we have all kinds of machines and computers and everything where we can find answers quickly. We don't need people to do that because machines do that. So now, because people are critical thinkers and we can go beyond just an answer, we want to focus on the what can you do with this math stuff. That's the key. That's what our children who are going to school now, that's what they're going to need to know how to do to be successful in this world. So today we're going to talk about a game that you can use with students. This is 3rd grade, 4th grade, even 5th grade, some 6th grade. It's really just something to get kids familiar with fractions and what fractions mean. I know we've been talking a lot about fractions, but it seems to be a stumbler. So let me just explain to you the tools that you need. So we need 7 different pieces or colors of paper. So I have construction paper, but another thing we want to do is make sure that people can do this with whatever tools they have at home. So if you don't happen to have construction paper at home, you can still do this activity. You do need crayons or something to distinguish the colors from one another. So if you don't have colored paper but you have crayons, just color a paper 7 different colors, and then we'll cut our strips from that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut our strips. Now the other thing that we have to make sure that is true is the strips that we cut from this paper have to all be exactly the same size. So I'm going to take a ruler and just mark it so that I can make sure that my pieces are all the same size. That's because if you think about fractions, that the whole has to be exactly the same. So now, if I take my ruler and I make sure that this is lined up on the side right here, then I know that that's going to go over completely straight, because we know that this is like a perpendicular line right here. Perpendicular means 90 degrees. So I'm going to hold this, oops, a doodle doesn't look that straight right there. I'm going to hold that and just make a little dot so that I know where to cut. And I'm going to slice these on. Slice these to make my strips. Okie doke. So we have our strips. Now, so I have again 6 colors. So I have green, red, yellow, orange, blue, and purple, and I have one that's like kind of like a whitish color. So I'm going to use this for my hole. Put this up. So there's my hole. Now, we're going to need the hole, so this is what we're going to use to compare our different fractions. And our different fractions are going to be with these different colors. So we have our hole, we have our fraction strips. Now we want to prepare our fraction strips. So what we're going to do, we have 6 strips. We're going to fold them into 6 different ways. So let's see. So 1, if we don't fold this at all, so 0 folds, we have 1 piece. So this is a hole right here. That's what this is. So now I'm going to take this one. Now we're going to fold this one into 2 pieces. So here's our 2 pieces. Fold it into 2 equal-sized pieces. It's really important that they're exactly the same. Again, we're using people tools, so there's going to be some error in here. But I'm going to fold it and then make this crease nice and strong so that we have our 2 pieces. So red is here, and red has 2 pieces. Now, just so you can see it a little bit better from there, I'm going to just put a little dot right there so you know that that makes 2 pieces. Now, you might be following along here. So now we want to do the next one with 3. So we're going to make this with 3. 3s are a little bit hard. You have to kind of balance out the pieces. And again, we're doing this. This is an experiment with fractions. So everything's going to be just a little, it could be just a little off, and that's okay. So we have our 3. Again, I'm going to just put my little dotted lines on here so that if you're watching at home you can see. So 3, and then you can see we're going to keep going, so go on. Now, if you're doing this with your kids at home, or somebody else's kids at home, or in school, you want the students or the learner to make the pieces. Because them making these pieces that we're then going to play the game with is going to be helpful for them to figure things out. We don't want to do all the work for them. Actually, we don't want to do any of the work for them. Because if we do all the work, then if we're not there, then we're not going to know if they really understood it. So we have our 4, and we have our 5. 5s are not easy either. So we're going to fold, fold, fold. And you want to just keep kind of moving it around. I don't know if you can see this. So we're going to fold, 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 kind of keep just moving it around so that those 5 folds are as close as possible. Oh, it's way off. So there we go. I want to just show you. Again, showing is better than doing. You don't want to do it for them. You want to show them how to do it. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this bottom one's still a little big. So that means we have to make all of them a smidgel bigger. So we're going to, of course, if I have a ruler, I could just measure it. But I know not everybody has rulers at home. So we're going to just do our very best to get it as close as we can. And so don't give up. I know it's frustrating, but as close as we can to 5 equal-sized pieces. Again, it's a little frustrating, but, okay, this one's a smidge off. But again, as long as you're close for this task, again, this is a game, so we're going to get as close as we can. I'm sorry my back's to you. And we have this 5. Now the next one, of course, is going to be 6. So there we go. 6. 6s. Now evens are easier. Why are evens easier? Well, one is that even numbers, we know each of these 2, there will be the same number on this as there are on this. Now, this is supposed to be 6. So we have 2 parts. That means each of those 2 parts now has to be 3. So I'm going to bump this like this and like this. There we go. All right. So now we have our 6. Again, bump, 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 bump. All right. Now we have our pieces. Okay, so we've built our pieces, made our pieces. I'm going to scooch this over just a smidgle. Have our pieces. Now we're going to have to figure out how to determine which color and how many of them each player gets for a particular turn of the game. So we need to make sure that the students can pick. Now let's think. Now I'm talking just to the teacher right now, not to the student, okay? So what we want to remember is that we have 2 different parts of a fraction. Again, don't tell this part to the students. This is just for us, what we need to remember. So we have both the num, remember we talked about this before, num or the number or quantity. So we have to know how many of the size pieces that we have. And then we have to know the nom or name of those pieces. So what size pieces are they? So what's the name of those pieces? Now, in this game, the name of the pieces are going to be a different color. So in this case, that'll give us our color. So in each turn, for each turn, we have to pick both a num, a number, and a nom, a color. So how do we pick the colors? So, and again, I'm trying to do this so that you don't have to have materials at home. So what I did was take extra pieces of paper of these different colors, and we just want to figure out what they are. So I'm just going to take 2 of each color. Now, if you don't take 2 of each color, then we get into probability, and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to just squish them up, drop them in. Squish them and drop in. Squish them, drop in. Squish them, drop in. Squish them, drop in. And so now I have all the different choices. I have 2 reds, 2 oranges, 2 purples, 2 of everything in here. So the likelihood of getting any color will be the same. What's in there? So that's how I'm going to pick my color or the name of the fraction. And then the number, of course, you can use dice for this if you happen to have dice at home. We're going to, but for this game, we only want to use 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I have 0, 1, 2, and 3. I have another set of these already in the bucket, so I'm just going to fold these up and put those in my bucket. We'll talk a little bit later about why you only want to go up to 3. You may notice on some of the rounds why that's important. Okay, so I'm going to put those in there. Again, if you have dice, you can do that. And if you have dice and you want to change how many, or what's on the side, you can just take masking tape and put masking tape over it. So I have a die that has 0, 1, 2, and 3 on it. If you happen to have them, go ahead and use them. If not, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just pulling something out of a bucket or a hat or whatever. All right, so we have our tools. We have the way that we're going to pick our name and our color. Now we need a recording sheet. So I'm just going to take a plain piece of paper. I'm going to fold it in half, hamburger style. Those of you who have taught or have been in a school know hamburger style. So I'm going to fold it hamburger, and then I'm going to take another strip right in the middle here and fold it over. So if you look at this, you've got, this is a half, and then I'm just folding this over just a smidge over here, and then I'm going to open this thing up. So this is our recording sheet. This is how we're going to keep track of who's doing what in our game. So we have, if you can see, there's a kind of a wide column here, and 2 small columns in the middle right there. So, and again, your students can fold these themselves. Let me put up a big version of our board. So we have this playing board, that's just a big version of this thing. And so now we have a player 1 and a player 2. So we have our tools ready, and we want to now start playing the game. So here's I'm going to put my tools over here. Okay. And my green one, remember the green one we didn't fold at all. That is a fraction still, right? So it's a 1, so it's still a fraction. Here's our plane, so there's our number line. And I'm going to go ahead and draw this underneath here. And I'm doing it so that you see it, so that you know I'm not doing anything magic here. So we have 0. Let me make that just a smidge bigger for you. 0. And this is 1. So that's a whole, okay? Now, we may have to go over 1. I don't know, but let's see. And if we do, we'll talk a little bit about how we should do that then. All right, I'm going to take this down though, because we used it for our number line. and then we're gonna start playing the game. So I'm just gonna play against myself. So we first have to know the name of the piece that we get. So I'm just gonna jiggle-jangle this around and pull out a piece. This tells me the name of my piece. Okay. Oh, green. That's a good one. All right, so I have this. So this is me. Player one is Terry. And I am going to, okay, what did I get? I got a green. Green. All right, so I know the name of my piece is green, and then how many do I get? Ooh. Okay, so now the how many, remember, goes in here, or die, if you have a die. So I'm just gonna flip over here, and got, what did I get? Two greens. All right, so I'm gonna record it, 2 greens, and then I'm gonna demonstrate it. So I have this green, whoop-a-doodle, and I need another green. I didn't think ahead of this one. All right, so let me look ahead here. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for being patient. And here's my other green. All righty, so this is what I have. Terry has 2 greens. All right, so we have 1 green here, 1 green here, that's 2 greens. Now, the next person takes a turn. You have to make sure that you put the color back, because if you don't, it decreases the chances of getting a green or whatever color you pick. That's the probability part. You can also play this with some probability indicators or concepts also. All right, so jingle, jangle, player number 2, and we get blue. All right, so player number 2 gets blue. Well, that rhymes. Player 2 gets blue. Blue. Alrighty. Okay, so I have blue. Here's my blue. Ooh, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. So let's see. I gotta put my shoe back. All right. Three. It's good, but I don't know if it's good enough. So let's see. All right, so now player 2 has 3 blues. 3 blues. So now, let's look. So here's our number line. Let's put this green up here. So we have 1 green. Ooh, and 2 greens. 2 greens are right there. Let me move this over. Okay, and then here's our blue. So now we need 3 blues. Now I'm going to line this blue up right on that green, okay? So right on that green, we need 3 chunks of the blue piece. So now the blue pieces are right here. We need 3 of those blue. 1, 2, 3. So that would be right there. 1, 2, 3. So it's right here, right here. So this is where the blue one, player number 2 goes. So if we were going to put it on a number line, it'd go here. But player number 1 is right here. Okay, so who got the farthest? Now you can play this game with farthest or smallest or whatever you want to do. You can also use sums. You can use all kinds of variations with this game. But what do we know? We know that player 1 won this game. So I'm going to give it an asterisk because that player won. Now let's play again. All right. So let's just play one more or another time. So, okay. Blue. Blue again. So I'm player number 1. I got blue. All right, so I need my blue piece. I'm going to put it back in the container. So I have blue, but I need to know how many of those blue chunks. So now I need to go in here How many of the blue chunks? Let's see. 0. Shoot. Okay, 0 blues. All right, 0 blues. I'm going to put this back. Let's play again. 0 blues, and I have a red. So the red piece is right here. Red piece. And how many of these red pieces do I get? As long as it's more than 0, it should be good. Let's see. 2. 2 reds. All right, so 2 reds. Let's see what that is. Okay, so how many blues do we have? 0 blues. So 0 blues, it means it doesn't count any of these chunks. So we're right here. Bummer. Now, 2 reds. Here's 1 red. Here's 2 reds. 2 reds is right there. So which one wins? The 2 reds. So let's mark our 2 reds. Okay, so we have our 2 reds. Now, let's do, we're going to do one more time, maybe 2 more times, just so you get a good idea of what's going to start to happen on the sheet. And then, this recording sheet blends right into what we want students to know next about fractions. So, I'm going to erase my asterisks. Let me just make sure this is still okay, because we've been erasing, and I just don't want to lose our measurement of the hole. So I'm going to put this here, okay. All right, there's our hole. I'm going to put that up there. All right, so now, orange. So we have an orange. I'm going to move the orange over here. All right, so that's, what is that? Orange gives us the name or the color of the piece. All right, and how many oranges will we have? 1 orange. 1 orange. Okay, let's try the next one. Make sure that you put all the colors back. Purple. Ooh, purple. Okay, let's put purple there. So again, it's not just the task, it's moving these things around, it's building the tools. All of these things help the students to get inside of the mathematics so that they can start to play and think of math ideas all on their own. See, we think too much that like math is just this known thing, and we do know a lot about math, but we need our kids to feel that excitement of figuring these things out. All right, so purple, we need to know how many purples. And let's see, oops, doodle. Yeah. 1 purple. Fold it back up. 1 purple. All right, so now let's look at this. So we have an orange. And how many oranges do we have? So now, again, keep doing these things. So like, you don't want your student to move it up. And this is a common mistake, not lining up where the number begins. So we want them to be lined up. But this kind of playing around helps them to negotiate their understanding of fractions. So now we have, what do we have? We have 1 orange. Where is that orange? Here. So here's orange. We have 1 of those, so that's right here. 1 orange, and then we have 1 purple right here. So I'm going to follow this down. Here's our purple. So which one is bigger? Which one is bigger than the other? So the orange is bigger than the other. So I'm going to put an asterisk here. All right, so player one's winning so far. Let's just do one more so that we can talk then about what to do with this stuff over here. All right, we're going to do one more. I'm going to go ahead and just, let's see. Okay. What is it? Yellow. Yellow. I'm going to move this up here. Yellow. Yellow is there. Again, we want to line it up right back here. So yellow is right there. Oh, let's erase these. Okie dokie. All right, let's go for another color, go for another color, go for another color. And we got, oh, sorry, I might be off the screen. Blue. All right, blue's right here. Okay, and let's again line that up, line up this right here, line it up, line it up. There we go. So now we have our yellow and our blue strip. We know that these are called something else, but we're just playing with color right now. So we have our yellow strip and our blue strip. Oh, shoot-a-doo, I didn't count. So how many yellows do we get? We get 3 yellows. That's a lot of yellows. Okay, so 3 yellows. Okay, 3 yellows. 1, 2, 3. Right there. Okay, that's 3 yellows. And we need to know how many blues. So, you can, while you're playing this game with your child, or they're playing it with their brother or sister, or whatever, they can kind of, you want them to anticipate some things too. So you want to think, okay, well, I have 3 yellows. How many blues do we need to either win or tie? So that's what you, so, if we want to be exactly there, we would need to get what number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we don't have a 5 in there. But we're going to see how close we can get. And how many do we get? Let's see. 3. That's a lot, but I don't know if it's enough. So 3 blues. Now, when you get things like this, so this is really cool. This is a cool thing. So we got 3 yellows and 3 blues. So are they the same then? 3 yellows and 3 blues? So let's look back at this. So the color then, remember, keeps telling us how big those pieces are. What is the name of that piece? So if we have 3 yellows, but the yellows are this long, and we have 3 blues, then we want our students to start thinking that 3, while when we were in kindergarten and first grade, 3 is the same as 3 is the same as 3, we're now talking, this is what makes fractions such a struggle. Because now that 3 means something different. It still has the quantity of 3, but in fractions, it tells us how many of a piece we have, how many of a certain size chunk. And so that's what kind of gets in the way sometimes with our students really getting a good grasp of fractions. So let's look at where it is. So here's our 1, and again, when you're doing things like this, you want to make sure that your child or your student, we're counting these chunks of pieces right here. So there's 1, 2, 3. So that goes right down to here. So that's 3 blue pieces, 3 blue. And right here is 3 yellow. All right, so which one's bigger? The 3 yellow is bigger. So let's mark that. Okay, so the idea, though, behind this game is to play it over and over and over. Because if you ever notice, when you start playing a skills game, we start to figure out what we're going to need to win. And so that's what you want to happen with these tools in this game. You want students to start to think, ooh, if I had a 3 purple, let's see how many pieces are in a purple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I had a 3 purple, So what's 3 purples? 1, 2, 3. 3 purples is right here. You could say, how many oranges is the same as 3 purple? How many oranges? So this is 3 purple. How many oranges would be the same? So we can look at this. So 1, 2, 3 purple gets us here. So 2 oranges would be the same. So that's another kind of task that you can ask. You can pull out a color and a number and say, okay, what else could we pull out that would be the exact same as this? Or what would we need if we wanted something bigger? So if we had, let's say we had 3 purple, and we wanted to win, so we have orange, but we want to win. We want it to be more than 3 purple. How many oranges would be more than 3 purple? What's the least number of oranges more that we could be? So we could get 1, 2, 3 oranges, and 3 oranges would get us more than the purple. That's right here. So all of these kinds of questions that we can do with these strips, you can just keep rattling off questions. Okay, if I had 2 yellows, tell me something that would be less than that or more than that. If I had 4 purple, tell me a number and a color that would be more than that or less than that. Instead of just these drill and kill kinds of questions, these are thinking kinds of questions. These are, let's figure it out and you show me. Show me what makes more or less than this. So you want to play this for like a week, playing it. And I know, and it can go real fast, and it's something that you could play every morning if you wanted to, but we're really just getting them used to the idea that we have some kind of a quantity and this size. And let me tell you why. So I'm going to move this over just a smidge. Let's look at this. So when we have this as our final game board, and again, you want to do this several times. I know I say it all the time, but don't just play one game once and done and go to the algorithm. It doesn't help us to understand the idea of fraction. So eventually, like the next week or something, we want to talk about notation. Not right now, not really right away, but we want to talk. So again, I really want to stress this. I know I've said it a billion times, but don't go straight to this right away. But let's talk about it. 2 greens. So eventually, we're going to be going to, okay, here's a green. Green has how many pieces in this whole? How many chunks of green are there in this whole? There's 1. There's 1 chunk of green. So green is split into how many chunks? 1. So we're going to write that. That is its nom, or its name. The color is 1. So there's 1 chunk of green. So I'm going to put that here. Again, do not go straight to this until you've played with this stuff a while. Okay, so 1. Now, what did we have? How many of these pieces did we have? We had 2 green pieces. That tells you how many. So you might look at that and say, that's not a fraction. Of course it's a fraction. It says that we have how many? We have 2. And how many what? 2 greens. We could, there's an intermediate step here, which we could say 2 green. All right, and that might be kind of a little inching away into it. And let's write it, so 2 green, just on top of each other, so they can get used to thinking this. Again, really getting to this thing is 2-3 weeks down the road. All right, so now let's look at this one, blue. So we have blue, here's our blue. So I'm going to write it, we have what? We have 3 blue. 3 blue. I'm going to write it one over each other, 3 blue. Okay, so now we need to know 3 blue. So 3, and 1 is a blue. So here's blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 pieces in a whole of blue. So 5 pieces in a whole of blue. So 3 5s, we can say. And that then is that one. Now, if we look at this, we know when we put them together. So when we had the manipulatives, we knew this one's bigger. So this one If this is bigger than this is bigger than this. That's what it's called. I'm just going to slap this in there, the transitive property. You don't need to know that. It's just a little moment. Okay, so now let's look at this one. So now let's go ahead. So we have blue. We already said blues are 5. So we have 0 blue. And blues we said are 5s. So it's 0 5s. Alright, now let's look at this one. We have 2 red. And reds are, let's look at our reds. How many pieces are in our red? A whole red. Here's our red. There are 2 pieces in a red. So 2 pieces in a red. So we have 2 2s. And for notation purposes, remember, we're gonna, so we know that it's not like what we think of as a 2 and a 5, but it helps us to understand what we're talking about. All right, so 0 fifths and 2 halves, or 2 over 2, and we know that this one was the biggest here, so that means this one should be the biggest here. We can prove that in a little, well, we actually already proved it on our line, but we can talk a little bit more later about how to just look at these numbers. But again, we're experiencing this first. All right, let's look at orange. We're just going to finish this up. And I know this has been a really long one today, but let's go through it. So we have orange. So that means 1 orange, which is, orange is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 4. And this one is 1 purple, which is 1, how many purple? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 6. All right, so again, we have this 1 4 and 1 6. What did we say was the most? We said this one was, so that means this one was. And again, you can prove it. You can have them prove it. Always ask them to justify or prove. We don't just want them to say this one, because then they can just guess. I mean, you got a 50-50 shot if you're just guessing at something. All right, so now let's go to the last one, 3 yellow. Yellows are, so we have 3 yellow. Yellows are how many pieces? 1, 2, 3. 3. So 3 3s. This one would be 3 blue. And how many is blue? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 5. And again, so often, like typically, if you have a 3 3 and a 3 5, students get confused because those 3s are the same. But again, the notation of fractions tells us we put that there, but don't do it right away. All right, so we have 3 3s and 3 5s, and we already figured out because you played it, you played the game, that this is bigger. So again, here, what we're trying to do is we're just trying to get students to start talking about fractions in a way that kind of distinguishes it between the other ways that they've seen these whole numbers. That's the crux of fraction operations. So we want students to really be thinking about, what is this telling me? What's this notation mean? And we don't, when we go straight to the abstract notation, we can't do that. So we want to do it in a way that kind of builds into this notation so that the notation makes sense. And one of the best ways to do that, we know through the work with the Algebra Project and Math Literacy Initiative, is for students to really figure out that notation on their own. And you might think, well, they're not going to figure out the traditional notation. No, they'll figure out their own, and it'll have a meaning to them. And then we can transfer it to one that has a common meaning once they have their own ideas. That's what helps our students to remember these concepts. We need to have them connected to something that already makes sense in their head. So connected to something that they already understand. That's that constructivist way. So again, if you want some help with any of the other concepts, please send us a Facebook message. I heard from a 5th grade teacher today, and that's why we did this lesson. So if there are other people, if you want a game or some activity to go along with a strategy or a concept that you're teaching, please let us know, either on our Instagram page, Math Literacy Initiative, or on our Facebook page. Have a great math week, and I'll see you next Wednesday.